Hi, and welcome to the channel. Mark runs his own channel called Ripped Apart, and on TikTok it's called CPS Ripped Apart. I do advise that anybody interested in this content check his channel out because it's very good. It's very well put together and very professional. Let's get him a few subscribers and help him grow. Well, he's come here today to talk about his channel and a few other things. I'll just say welcome, Mark.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to you too, even though you live here.
Well, what do you want to talk about first? You obviously, I've come across you on Facebook. You got your fingers in many pies. You're obviously very passionate about what you do and why you do it.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about like the social media side of things, sort of like YouTube and Facebook and whatnot. Because as you say, I've got my fingers in many pies. So it started when I went through my own sort of family drama, like my child did get removed. And shortly after that, I decided I'm going to start and make a channel for people that don't have a voice or feel they don't have a voice. And, at least I can speak for them.
Yes.
And in some terms, me speaking for them has really helped them because I've had a lot of feedback, people saying, thank you for including my story. It's not helped, but I feel better that you have. It's just one of those things, where it's really difficult to explain.
Just the fact that they get it off their chest, somebody's listening to them, and that's
Yeah.
always there on then YouTube. In the future, if their children wanted to, see what happened in the future, it's there forever. Their story can't be taken away.
Yeah, they can always direct people to it and say, this is what happened. If their children are returned to them eventually, they can say, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of them appreciate the fact that they can actually speak about it as well, because even though gagging orders are actually a thing, a lot of people don't know about it, and a lot of people aren't subject to them.
Yeah. It was an eye opener for me, the gagging process that they use. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You think if you're telling the truth, nobody would dare put a gag on the truth. That's what I thought. But they will gag for whatever personal reason they have to protect their own face and their own reputation. They will gag somebody coming along with the evidence to the most heinous thing to protect the child. And
Oh
when they
yeah.
think they're going to protect their child, at the end of the day, they leave that court with a gag order on them, too afraid to speak about serious incidents that have gone on around their children, which obviously in a sane world, you would need these incidents brought to light to be investigated to make sure the children are protected.
You really wouldn't. And like a lot of people that do feel like they can't speak about it, they realistically can, even if they are gagged, but it does have to be 100% anonymous and like not aimed at anybody.
Yeah, it's difficult to put it together then in anything that's
It
coherent that anybody
really
can
is,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah. I've had a
It
lot of
really
people,
is.
I've had a lot of people saying they want to come on, they want their voice changed, their face changed, they don't want to talk about this, that. At the end of the day, what kind of video would be produced then? If
Yeah,
they're
I mean, the
afraid to
only
talk,
good thing
afraid to
about
talk
my
about it.
videos is, sorry, the only good thing about my videos is they are literally faceless. So like, it couldn't quite honestly be about Charlotte and her little boy down the street.
Yeah.
I don't know Charlotte down the street, but still.
Yeah, I know. Just give an example, but yeah, that's probably the best way to do it to protect these people because they could be comebacks from not just children's services and the police, but obviously then members of the public, ex-partners. Could be a
Yeah,
lot.
completely. Like the only bit of information I really give on these cases is when and roughly where. When I say roughly, I mean country.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like there's no point in me saying, oh, in 2026, it's not even there yet, but yeah, in 2026, like this person had this happen. It's just like this person had this happen where, what, who, why.
yeah. So you got to put some like bones on the story, meat on the bones for the story to actually get the information across in a believable way. Really, I suppose.
Yeah, completely. I mean, even though the stories are 100% true, like it just seems to make it slightly easier for people to understand. All right, so this was in the UK. I get that. This was in the US. Okay, I get that.
Yeah. So you do stories from the US as well, then I suppose. What are you saying?
Yeah, I do stories from the US as well. I mean, it's quite a recent thing. I've just recently joined a group that is part of the CPS group in USA, and I've put the link up on there a few times for the Google form. And like I've had a few responses from that. I think there's only 3, maybe 4 stories from the US so far, but like
Okay.
obviously that's going to grow because everything I've read so far, it's exactly the same as what we deal with in the UK.
So you think they're going from the same playbook as actually our children's services with the lies and deceit to steal children in the USA?
Yeah, totally. Because like one of them that I did read, obviously I'm not going to give names or anything. I don't actually have them. But like one of them that I did read, the husband was actually involved with a child protection officer. Like, and when I say involved, I mean romantically. And like they put a plan together to get the wife's children into their house.
Yeah, I bet that happens to you.
It probably does, yeah. It probably does.
That's shocking. Another thing, do you find that the numbers of children being taken in other countries is similar to the UK? Because I know that France, for example, they only take 1/4 of the children that we actually take into care.
I've got no word on France or the rest of Europe or anything like that. I mean, all I've really got to go on is the UK and the US so far. Oh, and a little bit of Ireland, but still. In the US, it seems to be every single case that I've read so far, same as in the UK, has ended in separation.
So as soon as if that's what they want, that's what they get, and basically, no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
The parents try to bring to protect themselves, and the truth, really. Yeah, that's quite shocking, really. So you think that some of these people pushing these things in the UK also have similar companies in the USA, and maybe they're linked in some way?
I don't know about similar companies or being linked, but like they definitely sing from the same song sheet. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
It's definitely the same policies being put into place.
Yeah. So that's another thing I need to look into. These adoption agencies and things. Do they actually have shareholders, and are they actually on the stock markets?
I'm not actually too sure. I know a lot of the sort of foster homes in the UK are actually owned or ran by social workers.
Yes, I know that as well. So they're actually privately owned, but they are owned by ex-social workers. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a few in the US that I know of as well that are owned by the local authorities. They're not called the local authority, but you know what I mean.
Yes, state run, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
state authority, something like that.
Eye-opening. Yeah. Yeah, I do, as I said to you before, I want to get somebody on who's actually got these facts and figures to compare countries, to, somebody who can really dig down deep into this and properly expose it. I'm sure there's somebody's listening now and they want to get in touch, then please do, because once we got facts and figures and we can see the state of our country compared to another country similar to it, we can actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the US is like the USA is humongous compared to England, but like the same happens all across their 52 states. The same thing is happening.
Well, when there's profits involved, then I suppose, people, no matter what country they're in, will look at another country and say, oh, look, they're making a lot of money out of that in this country. Maybe
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Most people wouldn't, obviously, because, to lie to steal a child is not something that a normal person would do for money, or to even set up a business and taking children have been lied about to get them in that position, and to willingly do that for money as well. Yeah, that's something that's beyond anything that I can.
And I think something that, like, I know a lot of us have realized it is quite literally a business.
Yes,
there is money being made somewhere.
Yes, and when I was going through this, and maybe yourself and maybe other people as well, going through this initial family court process, they don't know that there's money involved. They don't know there's ulterior motives and there's a dark hand at work, trying to push it a certain way. They're thinking, I'm going to go there, I'm going to tell the truth, exactly how it happened. I haven't done anything wrong, so I haven't got anything to worry about. And then you got people leaving there without their children, when they've done nothing, and have gone there to tell the truth.
Yeah, it's like, I will tell the truth, and the social worker does not.
Yeah, you can't win. Yeah, I know. And it's hopeless as well, because when you even can prove a social worker's lied, say you got a report that she's written maybe a few months ago, or he's written a few months ago, and they say something completely different then when it comes to the court or something, and you say, but here's the report. Nobody's going to look at that. Nobody cares about the report from a few months ago.
Yeah, it's like, I personally brought a recording into court and said, I've got an actual recording of the social worker saying it's much safer in here. Now, just for everyone to understand, my child was removed due to home conditions. And the social worker said, it's much safer in here. It's much nicer. I took that recording with me, and like it wasn't even listened to by the judge or anyone. Like they just dismissed it. I said, I've got a recording of this lady saying it's actually safer.
So on the reports, then it was all saying, "Oh, the home conditions are bad; they're not improving." But to your face personally, they walk into your home and say, "Oh, this is a lot better than it was. You are improving." So completely opposite to what they presented to the judge then.
Yep, absolutely.
And no way for you to even show your play your recording, which obviously proved you was out of the story because the judge.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I even said to my solicitor, I've got this recording that I really want played. I want people to hear it, and he listened to it, and he was just like, "Yeah, so she does clearly say it's much safer in here. You've definitely maintained this place well."
Yeah, which contradicts the logs. Yeah,
it really does. Yeah, it just it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, social workers lie. Everyone understands that.
I don't know if
People that have
everybody does.
been through it, like social workers, they don't tell the truth. Okay, cool. But like, it just seems when you catch them out on that lie, no one cares.
Yeah. And you think, oh yeah, it's a judge. It's a judge of character. And if you can catch somebody out telling a few lies, then that person's capable of lying about it all. That person shouldn't be in any kind of position of power or responsibility, especially to do with children, because you can actually prove they lied a couple of times. If you were dealing with somebody on the street that you knew had told a few lies, then you would just walk the other way when they turned up, wouldn't you? You just think, I'm not dealing with these people. But when they're in your face lying, and then they knock the door and you've got to let them in to tell more lies about you, there's no escape from these people.
No, there's really not. I mean, like the lies that they tell about people as well, they're not like little white lies. They affect you for life.
They know exactly what lies hurt. They know exactly what they've got to put on that piece of paper to achieve what they want to achieve, which is to kidnap your child.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I say, they do affect you for life. And like the lies that they tell aren't small or insignificant. They are quite literally, this person is a bad parent. Here's the proof. That's not real. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing we can go there, Did you try making all the complaints? I know everybody does, and it goes nowhere. And
yeah, absolutely. I've made a total of 4 complaints against the same social worker.
Yeah. Any kind of result at all?
I wouldn't really call it a result. One of them was taken to stage 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to call it stage 2 or whatever. It was taken to the next step, and like they investigated a little bit, but all of the rest have been fobbed off, by the complaints team saying, "Oh no, that was necessary because of these reasons." It's just like I've just explained why that wasn't okay. Whatever.
Well, you can make it as simple. In my situation, it's not about me, but in my situation, I've got a recording of a social worker telling the wrong father that he's the father of my newborn baby. This guy'd already caused an head injury to the same baby. Yeah. So then, obviously, I've got this recording where he's telling the wrong father. I complain, obviously, because it should be a serious thing, telling the wrong father that he's the father, because obviously he gets all emotions going. It made him worse. It caused a lot of trouble. I thought that's quite an easy complaint to get past. This social worker, I will name him, Carwyn Morgan, said clearly to this guy, "You are the father." I thought, that's definitely the complaint. There's no way you can argue with that. He's told the wrong father, but it went absolutely nowhere. Even something as basic and simple to complain about as that. So that shows what they are to me anyway.
Yeah, totally. Like one of the complaints that I made, I was just like, how can you possibly remove my child and then say it's my fault, basically? And like I was talking on the phone with the lady or the manager, whatever you want to call her, and like she said, right, so what is your problem? And I said, well, basically, the social worker has spread lies, and we're now down a family member because of home conditions, apparently.
Yeah.
And she said on the phone she wasn't removed due to home conditions.
Okay.
And I was just like, wait, what? So that threw me off a bit. I was just like, yes, yeah, she was.
Well, so did she actually give you the reason why on the phone?
No.
No, she just said it weren't for that. So have you got your documents? Is there any other reasons cited for obviously
None at all. No, none at all.
Yeah, they can say whatever they want, and they know they can as well. The arrogance and the smugness of some of these people, when they know that they're twisting a knife in you and putting your children in danger, something to behold. The smugness.
Oh, definitely
There's
is.
no consequences for them. The way they act. I already know this.
Yeah, like there's definitely no consequence for him because they keep doing it. If there was a consequence, they wouldn't.
Exactly. As simple as that. It just needs to be some deterrent. Even if it's just, one strike by your name, two strike by your name, suspension, and then the sack. If it, was something that be, as you said, I don't think there is anything. In fact, I think they're encouraged to push families over the edge and take children by the managers and the higher ups.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are encouraged. It's like you have to do this a certain amount of times a month.
Yes, to get numbers. And we did have, Kieran personally. Kieran came on talking about how much money he was actually involved, bonus-wise. He's talking about, targets and things, was quite eye-opening. And even on job adverts, obviously adverts for a job, if you wanted to become a social worker, even mentioning bonuses there as well within the job adverts.
I know, and things like car schemes.
Yes, I don't know so much about that one, but see, they're all incentives to, a performance bonus for a social worker should be how many children you've actually kept with their parents and fixed the
Yeah, I completely
situation they were
agree.
in.
If a social worker was to do their job, they say things like this all the time. We want to keep families together. Then why do you keep breaking them?
I know. It's baffling to me. As you said, even when they turn up and there's not a problem and they think, oh, this person's, maybe we can get away with this. And then they'll invent stuff, a few bits and pieces. And you're like, and then you'll start talking to them quite assertively, saying this is wrong and that's wrong. And then they'll say, oh, you're being aggressive. So then not only they got bad home conditions, they got aggression on there as well for you trying to talk to them. And like talking to a
Yeah,
brick wall,
absolutely.
sorting the problem. Then all of a sudden you're aggressive. And then they say, oh, because you've been aggressive to me, that could escalate the risk of emotional harm. You might do that in front of your own child. So we'll use that against. And it just builds up from an initial little lie. Sometimes they plant seeds, I think, knowing that obviously any parent's going to not allow that to stand, that lie. They're going to complain when they do complain and get a bit angry about it, which we're all human. Then they'll use the righteous anger as aggression and lose.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a simple case of say they are emotional.
Yeah, but we're
It's
human.
like, what do you expect? You rip me apart.
Totally. You've completely destroyed, the outcomes for children taken into care. They're the ones that end up in prison on drugs, criminal records, in fights, broken marriages, fatherless homes. They are the children that they've taken into care. And then when they are adults, that's the kind of lives that they have. So the last thing that they should be doing is taking children into care unless it's absolutely necessary, because they know about what they call outcomes for ex-children in care. But yeah,
absolutely. It's like they know things before they're going to happen. Where did they get that crystal ball? Because I want to buy several.
Yes. Well, I think social workers, when they turn up initially, when there's a little problem, say somebody's made a report about something, they look at a family and they'll think, I think they'll make a split decision whether I think they might be weak enough that we can fiddle this or we can take that child. Not based on any kind of pattern behavior or anything, just looking at the family and thinking, yeah, maybe people wouldn't believe this person if they spoke up. This person's probably too shy to speak up. This person, is not going to be any trouble to us when we take this child, and that's a green light to him, even though the child's not in danger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my partner doesn't exactly like speaking to people on the phone. She has anxiety, things like that. She has real mental issues.
Yes.
And the social worker always decided, I'm going to call that person because I will fight back.
Yes.
I will actually ask the questions. Why?
They just want somebody to bend over and tick all the boxes so they can take this child and move on to the next one to make sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're probably thinking, if I can take 10 children by maybe July, then I made a good start to the year. I've only got to take maybe another 5 then for the next 6 months. I think that's
I mean, it is definitely one of the worst things to think about. It's just like, is that really their bonus incentive? Like, are they literally out to get families? I mean, the thing you really want to think about is, why do people threaten people with social services if what they do is keep families together?
Exactly. Yeah, I know. If you've got, for example, I know, I'm not going to mention any names, but say somebody's got an issue with somebody, like a neighbour, they've argued, they could phone up and said, "Oh, have you heard the woman screaming and all this and all that," and bring social services in. And as you just said, they're doing it because they know there's the fear factor. They know that children's services are not there to investigate and get to the bottom of things. They are there to turn up and say, "We've had this report. We're going to take it seriously, no matter what." And yeah, they'll question you as if you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. But then they don't give you the opportunity to prove yourself innocent. So it all goes to court in front of a family court judge. Then, as if, I don't know, like you said before, you read your file sometimes, and if you're reading somebody else's file and they've made a mistake and put that file in place of yours, and you're like, "Are you sure this is about me?" Because these incidents,
completely.
I don't even recognize some of these incidents, and the ones that I do recognize are so far from the reports that were given, and I don't understand why you've done that. So it does make you think, why are you doing this? And what I want to say, Mark, why is money even involved anywhere in the system at all?
I honestly have no idea. Like, I really don't, because it's just one of those things that everyone needs money to live on. Yes,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be used as an incentive to try and get more.
Well, the state does that, don't it? Just think, if you do something wrong, you pay a fine. It's all financial, it's all about money with the state.
Oh, it definitely is, yeah.
I see you're probably more like me. As long as I got enough money to eat and my children are happy and healthy and all that, and I'm happy. I don't got to have £1 million in the bank and have holidays to, I don't know, Jamaica or Mauritius or something.
Yeah, I haven't been on holiday in about 19 years.
Well, you probably need one after all they put you through, bro. So maybe you want to book one.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
But
my partner had a holiday in December just gone, so she's been more on holiday than me.
it's what these people will do to get more. They've already probably. I understand, right? They've worked hard. They've been to university. They've got this job. Maybe they've got in there and don't realize it's all about money. They've got in there for the right reasons to protect children, for example. They end up on the job. They're on the job for about 6 months. They see a couple of lies take place where they've got to lie for their colleagues, or the manager's got to change some documents because they made some mistakes. When they've been there a few years and they've seen so many of these children being lied about and put in danger, even if they weren't there to do it, they become desensitized to it. Yeah. And ultimately, they're driven by the financial gain, not by the content of this parent's character or the conditions or the child's condition or anything to do with the child. It's just all, well, it is money. It is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite literally all about money. I mean, it definitely is. Like, me and my partner were concerned that our child may have autism. And we said we really want to get her checked out. And the social worker jumped straight to it and went, she doesn't. She's like, how do you know? You haven't checked.
Yeah, that's another thing. See, they're not police. They can't do proper police investigations. They're not medically qualified. They can't diagnose conditions or, check injuries, for example. That isn't what they're for. But yet they will attempt to do these things, and nobody's stopping them.
No, absolutely. And like, I think that's not exactly an issue that's around the public and whatnot, but that's definitely an issue with their managers and their group, because they keep doing these things and it seems no one's batting an eyelid apart from the parents. It's like, there is an issue. Why is no one else seeing it? Why is no one seeing it?
Yeah, as you say, thousands and thousands of people are in the same position as yourself and other families and all that. Maybe 5% of them people speak up, Mark, and maybe that's not enough.
Yeah, totally.
If we
But
had,
like,
if we got a critical mass where they couldn't stop the information and they were like, oh, there's so many parents, turning up these protests, emailing, phoning, going on channels, whatever, making as much noise as they can, maybe it'll reach some kind of tipping point and they'd be like, okay, we've got to change our practices. And I think that's the only hope we have, to be honest.
yeah, that is definitely one of the only hopes we have. I mean, a change of practice would be definitely ideal, because what they're doing clearly isn't working, but it is for them.
Yeah, but again, though, where do these rules come from? They come from central government. Yeah, they've made the rule book for them. They've set up the they can get away with this and that and that. If they wanted to tighten the rules up at any time, they would have done it years ago to stop some of
Oh,
this
they
stuff.
really would have, yeah. They really would have, because like every single case that I read, like I say, has pretty much ended in separation. It's just like, why? And no one's looking into that apparently, because it's like, oh, it was necessary. Why was it necessary? It just was.
Well, it's like all industry is built up around child snatching. Well, think about it, right? You've got the social workers, their jobs. You've got the managers, all them. You've got the hours that they spend in, so it keeps them in jobs, the hours they spend in on your case. You've got the contact workers, yeah. You've got the family courts and the family court judges. It keeps them in business with all the work and all that. You've got then the foster agencies and all this that are linked to it as well. It's just a massive cash cow for all these people, I'm sure it is, and they just keep milking it.
Yeah, something that I've been let into recently, a bit of information is if someone isn't out to legal aid and they get it, like the solicitors don't care about the case, they care about the money, that's it.
Yes, and the worst thing you can do, I've heard this of people, is get a local solicitor because they're used to dealing with these exact same social workers, and they pretty much they are on first name terms, mine were. You should get a specialist from outside area, which would cost you more money than probably the average family can afford.
Yeah, and like that's one of the major problems as well, because it's like I would like to have the best for my child, but I can't.
Yeah. It's soul
And
destroying.
it's
It's not.
almost as if they know it as well.
Same with you, right? So many people, right? You've got no criminal record. You had no criminal record when these people turned up. Okay.
Yep.
There are people with very serious records, violence, maybe sexual assaults, thefts, robberies, all kinds of stuff against their name, walking down the street with their children, past people who've lost children, who've never committed a crime, who have only spoken up about crimes committed against them and their children.
Yeah, and apparently we are the criminals.
Yeah, but me
We
and
get
you know
punished
that
for it.
me and you know, right, that who the real criminals are, the real creatures are. Okay, we're not ashamed. The people that should be ashamed are the people that hurt children. Anybody can call me a criminal, a scumbag, an overreactor, I don't know, an attention seeker. Anybody can call me whatever the hell they want. All I care about is my children and other people's children, and these people in children's services. At the end of the day, I don't care if they're empowered by whoever they're empowered by. At the end of the day, they're just human beings, men and women. Yeah, they're fair
Yeah,
game.
totally.
They're fair
Absolutely.
game, and it's a parent's job to go for them when they cause such chaos.
It is really a parent's job to try and sort things out like that, because like that is why I started Ripped Apart and things like that, because I wanted people to have a voice. I wanted to let them know that you're not alone.
Yeah, and probably same to you. Do you know when people finish the interview, do they say, "Just me getting that off my chest"? Basically, I feel so much better. Just it's out there, and I've released it all. Where they've kept it all pent up and never actually sat there for 2 hours with anybody maybe before and actually said everything that happened.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't do interviews like this or anything, like most of my stories coming through a Google form, so people
Yeah.
just type out, but they can take as long as they need to type that out. I'm not about to say do it now, do it by Tuesday, 1 o'clock, come on.
Yeah, they need to make sure they're happy and it's in their own words, and yeah, they don't miss anything.
Yeah,
Because
and
I
when they
yeah, I
send it to me, I put it in my words. So like they are speaking, it is their
yeah,
story, but it's not them speaking about it. So they literally have someone else saying it.
well, I bet they're well happy with them. They're so well put together and professional. They should have a lot more. This is anybody again. I'll say Ripped Apart channel. Get on there. There's some good stories on there, and there's some eye-opening stuff. And any information, any story from any family that has been abused by these people is valuable for the whole, really. So everybody can know the tactics that these people use. As I say, any story is welcome, even if some people think it's not significant. Then
Yeah, like that's why I started it. I wanted people to have that voice that they don't really have. Like if no one listens, if they feel like no one cares. And it's just like people will listen, people will care. Tell me.
yeah, that's it.
And like that's the reason why I put it out to the world, because I want people to understand that it's not just something happening in
Yeah,
like Jamaica. I don't know. It's not just something happening in one little tiny part of the world.
it's growing and growing more and more all the time. Even in my community, there's hardly a family that doesn't know somebody, or even a member of the family that doesn't have children's service involvement, and the horror stories to tell. It's growing, is what it is. It's getting worse, and it's getting more and more out of control. You know,
Yeah, it really is. Our housing officer for our house, like she actually came in, took a look around the place, made sure it was okay, because that's kind of her job. And then like obviously we told her about the involvement of social services, and like they said, well, she said to us, but it's fine in here. Why are they doing that? And she even wrote a statement which never got mentioned. Yeah, like she wrote a statement saying, I've witnessed the home conditions, they are fine, pretty much. She said the child does have plenty of toys. I've seen them. I've noticed that the parents are trying to better themselves by looking into therapy, things like that. Like my partner was at the time. And
so you were
she
doing
wrote,
everything that they asked you to do and more to make sure that your daughter stayed. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Like we wanted her to come back eventually, but like that got put into court. I gave it to my solicitor. Who went, oh, that's really good. That's really good. Never got mentioned.
It's absolutely disgraceful. You know, something as petty as home conditions as well. You know, do you live in a rented property? Can I ask that?
It's a housing association, so it is rented, but council.
So it is technically council property that the council was saying wasn't fit. The
Yeah,
conditions weren't good enough. Yeah, that on its own is insane. So they own properties they're saying are not fit, and using
pretty
that
much.
against
Yeah,
you. And obviously, where else have we got to live? You know, there's not many houses around. You know, that's absolutely disgraceful, isn't it?
especially the price of housing these days.
Yeah, I got a similar story. Right, I had a guardian turn up. Yeah, I was quite nervous when she turned up. The meeting with her went quite well. I thought, oh, it's not too bad. She did say that I was nervous. I admit it was the first time I seen her, and I said to her, I feel a bit nervous. She used that, exaggerated my nervousness when I first met her, just saying that obviously I wanted to go well for my child and everything like that. But what really got my goat on that time, 2 hours before she came to my property, I looked at my bedroom and I thought, oh, my bed sheet there, I could do with a nice bed sheet. So I went in the cupboard, looked for a bed sheet. I thought, oh, that's a bit grubby as well. So I went down and bought a brand new bed sheet from the local Asda's. Yeah. Put it on my bed, right? Didn't even wash it. Put it on. You still had the squares where it was in the packet, yeah, on printed on the when you unfold it, the squares are still on the cover. I went away and she said Kevin had a grubby old quilt cover on his bed.
Oh, that's nice.
It was 2 hours old, 2 hours out of the packet. Never been sat on, slept in, anything. And I think she couldn't find anything. So I think she was sitting there in the evening and thought, I went a bit well. I've got to say something negative because social services want me to do that. Want me to
Quite literally clutching for straws.
Yeah, so I'm going to just put down his bed. It's not a big thing, but, sometimes they don't need big things. Sometimes they can kill you with a million pinpricks, little things, a million little things that paint up to a big thing, So that's how petty some of them.
Like one of the sayings that I have is little things get big.
Yeah, sometimes if it's left unchecked, yeah. Or they just keep adding. They start off with a little tiny fire and they keep adding fuel to it until the whole place is ablaze, and that's what they've intended to do from the beginning.
Yeah, that's exactly what they intend. But yeah, getting back to it, like the channel that I have is called Ripped Apart. Like, I just want to give parents a voice, pretty much, because a lot of the times they feel like they have to be silent. They feel like they can't talk about it. It might be embarrassing. It might be that'll never happen to me. Oh, it happened to me. It could be anything. So I just want to give them a voice. And every story on my channel, regardless of where it comes from, is anonymous. I don't mention the name. I don't mention exactly where it is. The only thing I will say is like if it's in England or if it's in the US, things like that, and like the year. But I won't say, oh, at number 33, this avenue.
Yeah, of course, you wouldn't want to do that. But as long as the story's out there, and what I really would like to do though is, show evidence and documented evidence to actually show that this is how this person lied when they lied, and this is the impact that they had. There's not many people willing to do that. I understand, but ideally that would be the way to actually get some of these people, maybe some consequences for them is to actually mention social workers' names and show documents. But again, people are taking a risk there, and I understand people don't want to take that risk, or some of them don't. I do understand.
Oh yeah, it's very understandable. Like they've already lost so much. Like if they lose something else, yeah, they might not care about it, but like they will.
Yeah, they take your child, right, which ends your world. But the knock-on effects then of taking your child, the effects to your own mental health, then the knock-on effects to, say you're running a business or work, that can, go down the pan. Even your mood around people, you could be quite depressive, you'd be negative, some people, would want to stay away from you because you've changed from the happy-go-lucky person maybe you once was to a total negative person based on the experiences of your children and yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a very outspoken and blunt kind of person, so like I don't think the social worker was quite happy with that, but that's who I am. I'm not about to change just to make her life easier.
Well, everybody's different, I've noticed a lot of these social workers don't have children themselves.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, I know, which is incredible, really, because you think, if you had a child yourself, you think, oh, you value your child so much, so you want to protect other people's children, but they seem to attract people who haven't got any children, which is strange.
It's like, why are you telling me how to raise my child when you don't even have one?
Exactly that as well, because before I had a child, I might have thought I knew a few things about having a child, but I didn't. Yeah, practical experience is no substitute. You can't substitute practical experience for a textbook, for example. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like people can tell you what to do, but until you've actually done it, you have no idea.
Yeah. And they're in there then talking about discipline of a child. I remember arguing once, a health professional one, where I was giving my boy a certain vitamin. She said, "No, don't give him these vitamins. Give him these ones." So then I got up on the NHS website that the NHS actually recommended the vitamins that I was giving him in the first place, and she hated me for actually showing her that she didn't know exactly what vitamins her own NHS employers recommended for children, and she was arguing with me even though I was giving the right vitamins they recommended. So little things can set these people off. Yeah,
really little things as well. Like in our particular court case, the social services tried to go for an interim care order, and when asked by the magistrates why is that necessary, her only answer was it just is. So it wasn't granted, but like the judge went, it just is not an answer.
Of course it's not. Because it is. That's what a 5-year-old would say, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely pathetic. These court cases are supposed to be thorough. All evidence is supposed to be on the table, so the judge knows exactly what's happened and can make the correct decision for the child's best interest. If they go there with half-truths, lies, missing information, then they are knowingly and willingly putting children possibly in dangerous situations.
Oh, they really are. They really, really are.
100%.
Like, that's the only small victory we had in that court. When she said, we want to apply for an interim care order. Why? It's necessary. Why is it? It just is. And he went, that's not an answer. Yeah. So it was completely denied. That's the only small victory I've had.
So I'm glad that you have had some good result. Well, in the long run, obviously, it hasn't made a great deal of difference, but, it does show that you can win a tiny little victory, now and again.
Yeah, and sometimes winning a small little victory is for a lot better than, winning the entire thing sometimes, because it's just like, oh, I got them on that. It's like, how'd you get them on that? Well, this happened. And it's like, all right, cool. So can I do that? Yes.
Yeah. The fact that you've actually confronted him and, and actually said there, does this really need to be there? And they said, yeah, because it needs to be there because we said so. And he then says, well, that's not good enough excuse. You've actually had a good judge there by the sound of it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know where.
That was magistrate. So like, I don't know if it was a judge or whatnot, but like, obviously there was 4 of them there. And like, I don't know if he was the lead magistrate or anything, but like, when she said, we're looking to apply for an interim care order, and he said, why? Oh, it's necessary. Is it?
Give me the list of reasons why it's necessary, and with proper evidence backing these things up. That's the way it should be. I said this. I said, what do you think about this, Mark? Losing your child. I'd rather be in prison for 10 years than lose my child. Obviously, right? If you are about to go to prison for 10 years, you'd obviously be judged by a jury of your peers, for example. If a family is about to lose a child, you think that it should be because of the secrecy and the lies that go on. If they did these things in front of a jury of people from your community, I don't think hardly any of this stuff would pass,
Well, I really don't think it should be sort of down to family court, because there's only like the parents, the social worker, and a few solicitors, and obviously the court officials in there. So I don't think it should be. I think there definitely should be someone or say someone, or there should be a few people in there to say why.
Yes.
I mean,
Because
just
we
simply
know
that
the
question.
social worker, the guardian, the family court, they all seem to be on this same side. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
need some independent people in it to say, impartial, to say, just come in here with common sense, really, because the common sense doesn't come from the family court or the children's services.
No, it really doesn't.
Somebody in there with a brain cell that actually cares about children to make
Yeah,
sure.
it's like the parents are obviously going to be biased towards the child. The social workers are going to be biased towards themselves. It's like
100%.
come into this court without a bias.
And you would think then that the guardian, for example, would be there. The CAFCAS workers would be there to act as a go-between, but that isn't what they do either.
No, it isn't. They agree with social services 100%.
They do, and there's even Ministry of Justice reports saying that they put children in danger by them agreeing with children's services so much, no matter what.
Yeah, it's like
So,
our guardian was changed part of the way through. Like the lady that we originally had retired, and like a new one came in. She came actually to our house and met us, and she then agreed with everything social services said, including the home conditions. But I had a recording of the social worker before her saying it's much safer in here.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when the guardian turned up for me, children's services said my baby was removed for a different reason, which happened 1 month before the original removal. So I showed the CAFCAS worker that the baby was removed, as it says, because of an assault by somebody on the baby, and it had the date and everything on it. And when I showed her that this date was from November, they were saying the baby was removed in October. They were saying the baby was removed because of an assault by this person on that person without the baby present. But then they're saying the baby was removed because of an assault and the baby was possibly hurt. When I showed the CAFCAS worker this, she said, well, that's a red flag. And I thought, brilliant, I've got through to her. She's going to go to court, and she's obviously a red flag. We all know what that means.
Yeah.
It was not mentioned anywhere in her evidence to the judge that she'd even seen this document, let alone told me it was a red flag. So when I said in the next year, and basically the Guardian has seen this document and said it's a red flag, didn't pipe up at all. Just it was as if it didn't exist, that document. That red flag evidence, as she termed it, didn't, even though she said it to my face that it's a red flag and that should change the trajectory of this, everything that's going on, that should change the what's going on with your children and all that, because their children's service actually proven that they're lying about why the baby's been moved there. Refused point blank to say it to a judge in a court of law, which I think is a crime on his own.
Well, that definitely is a crime. That's withholding information.
Yes. Yeah. But this is, from everybody I talk to, not just you, Mark, everybody, they've all got stories like that.
Yeah, they really do. And that is honestly sad. It's like there's a problem and it can't be addressed, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So then things are up in the air, and then you're making a decision for a baby to go somewhere when you haven't even established what's happened in the first place.
Yeah, it's like, why is that child going somewhere?
Yeah. Well, I still don't know why. All children's services had to do in my own was to say, we can't work with Mr. Thomas, and that's enough for the judge to say, okay, well, you can't work with him. You obviously can't oversee him with his child, then he can't have his child.
Mm.
So all I got to say is I can't work with him, not giving any reasons why. They were covering up so much stuff that obviously I'd said to them first, I can't work with them. But they said to the judge,
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of them are really difficult to work with.
Yeah, I know. See, these are patterns of behaviours of all these, from England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, all over the place. Yeah, it's all exactly the same stories coming out. They're all singing from the same hymn sheet, which is what that says, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite literally all from the same hymn sheet, because every single case is like, this is the reason, and here's the removal. Yeah. It's like that reason's the same as that reason, and that reason, and that reason.
Yeah. And they all know exactly what it takes. They, if it's 3 things they got to put in front of this judge, they make sure them 3 boxes are ticked, and then they know before they even go into court that this child's getting removed. They know the judge.
I'm pretty sure they do. Like, I'm convinced on day 1 when they turn up at your address, they have a plan in place for you.
I agree with 100%. I wouldn't have agreed with that a few years ago, but totally 100% agree with that now. I think some families maybe even be targeted before any kind of even allegations. They say there's a weak one. Sometimes all it takes is, the child came into school a bit dirty today. And that could start a ball rolling then to them turning up at your house. Apparently there was a report your son or daughter was a bit dirty. And then they'll exaggerate that they've, I don't know, you've been angry with them. That's their go-to. When you are...
always try and go for the aggression kind of thing as well. Aggression and mental health. This person's mentally unstable. They're aggressive.
Yeah. You're obviously going to say you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace to your profession. I don't want you anywhere near my children. Who do you think you are? Don't you know what the law is and things like this? And then I just guess they back up even more. And it descends into like a slagging match then, where you're just calling them corrupt scumbags, and they are then finding ways to hurt you more in their paperwork.
Yeah, totally. Like one of the stories that I've read from the US, a fairly recent one, a child was in a contact center, and the social worker that was with them noticed that there was a scratch on her face. And she was like, "Where'd you get that?" Mom was like, "I've got no idea." And they blamed the mother. Even though the child wasn't in her care. The person that the child was with, the foster carer, actually admitted to accidentally harming the child. The child was then sort of fast-tracked for removal. It's just like, well, we're going to get her out of the situation. The child's obviously in danger.
Yeah.
It's like, well, thanks for thinking about the parent.
Yeah. See, and if there is an injury, and a proper police investigation is done, and they say that nothing's happened, there's no evidence anything's happened, you used to be innocent and then proven guilty or something like that, they just automatically assume that you've done the worst to your child, even though the child would say as well, I was running and I fell.
Yeah.
They just
like one of the stories that I read, again, a social worker came to this person's door because there'd been a report of a bruise on a child. And she said, "So where did your child get the bruise?" And the child from the other room said, I fell off the trampoline. It was me. I did it."
Yeah.
And from there, they went down the route of removal. It's like the child had actually admitted that the parent didn't do anything.
That's absolutely shocking because, my boy had a trampoline, most children had trampolines,
Yeah.
It'd be the thing now, they got bars on them, they got bloody zips on them. You can scratch yourself on a zip when you're bouncing around. There's quite innocent reasons why, little tiny injuries can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And to think the worst of a parent, again, they're just seeing a golden opportunity there. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in most of those cases, they see what they want to see.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all doom and gloom a lot, the more people I talk to, it's like, what do we do? Is there anything we can do? They hold all the cards, they push it this way. They're going to damage so many more families even tomorrow, Where does it end?
Oh yeah, they'll keep damaging families, but the only thing I will say is there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't matter what the situation is, there's always something that will come out of it. But in this case, the only thing that I can say that will definitely happen is, my child's been adopted. It's not a closed adoption, so she knows she's been adopted. So the only light at the end of the tunnel really for most of us is we hope one day we can tell our stories to the child.
Yeah. And that's why, these things on YouTube are valuable, because you never know it. I might not be here in 10 years, other parents might not be here in 10 years, but them interviews will be on the internet for, for when the children are 20, 30, they might not even, when they're 18, they might not have the mind to even look at it then. But when they get to 30 or something like that, when they start figuring out what the world is a bit like, and they look at it and they say, yeah, my dad or my mother, really loved me, and they did whatever was necessary up against, insurmountable odds, I hope that they're proud of you, you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Pride is a big thing, but when it comes to children and whatnot, we really want to push that we're proud of them, because ultimately we are proud that we made them.
Yeah. And the child's supposed to have that every day, that encouragement, that, pat on the head, that I love you, you're doing the right thing, I'm proud of you, every single day. I come from a good family. This is why, listen to some stories about people's families is foreign to me. I come from a good family unit where I was encouraged, and I was also disciplined as well when I needed it. But yeah, I knew where I was from. I knew where I was going, because my family put that in me. And, it's hard for a child in care not to have that bond with, because I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's going to love your child the way a natural parent would love the child and protect the child.
Oh no, they definitely won't. I mean, even adoptive parents, it's just like, yes, they may love the child and they love the child in their life and whatnot, but there's no way at all that they can love the child like I did.
There's no way that, well, I don't know, I can't say everybody because I don't know actually, but if somebody was firing a gun at your child, you would, without second thought, put yourself in front of that bullet without the second thought. I'm not sure the foster carer would do that.
Yeah, I would happily say most parents would probably be like, not my child.
Yeah.
Like, most people would jump in front of it and say no.
Yeah. I know, but see, these people that are bringing up our children haven't got the same, and that deep bond that you build with a child, it's like, I don't know, it's like, I've only experienced with my own children, obviously, but that level of trust, they trust you, that you will never do anything to them. You will, always be there for them, even when they're 18, and then to have that torn away and the damage that causes them. And they're like, oh my God, that person that I knew would die for me in a heartbeat, that loved me, that, was there from the moment I opened my eyes when I was a tiny baby, is now gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, where did that person go? But like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Again, with like the whole adoption thing, like, yes, the child may be with better parents, but like one thing they're not with their parents.
Yeah. And what's to say that these people are better parents?
Yeah, that's one better parents.
Human beings are not perfect, Everybody's got something,
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got something. I mean, like it doesn't matter what it is. Like everyone's got something. I mean, in my case, I don't have much money in terms of, I'd like to spend a lot of money here and there, but I can't. And there's some families that aren't in that position. They're like, oh, how much is that? Yeah, I'll buy it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And in my case, it's like, well, the child's going to have to live on the bare minimum. I'll get her everything she needs, but it's not going to be everything she wants.
Well, that on its own is enough, everything that the child needs, because then you're going into, getting, the best trainers, the best this, the best that. You just, is that really important when it boils down to it? As long as your child is healthy, happy, warm, fed, they are what's important. And I'll say this, money doesn't buy anybody happiness anyway, because apparently millionaires commit suicide at a higher rate than normal members of the public. So
yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, it was quite surprising when I read that. But yeah, and would you agree with this as well? Children's services do not tend to go after families with money because they realise that there'll be a proper fight then, rather than going after somebody with no money.
I do agree with that because, like, if a family has a lot of money, then there's a good chance that they're going to have the option to definitely look outside of area for like solicitors, things like that, because
Yes.
like they're not catering to the local social worker.
Yeah.
It's like out of area, they've got nothing to prove. So like, I'm pretty sure that the cases for richer people are definitely lower.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this person lives in a 4-bedroom house. There's no concerns.
Yeah. That's it. You turn up, you see a nice big house, cars outside. This person's got money. Even if we did exaggerate about this family, they might have the resources to take us to a proper court with a proper judge, with a proper solicitor that they paid for, a specialist, and they can cause some damage to us. So we leave that well alone, even though that child might be at risk. You know, they don't know that. They're looking at it from, can we take that child for profit?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all they look at it for as well. Can we do it for profit? Can we do that?
How can we get away with this? What can we fiddle to get away with this? Sleight of hand with a couple of taps of a keyboard. It's like one with a pen, and yeah. I said it on the other podcast. They can make Gandhi seem like Hitler just by pressing a couple of keys on a keyboard.
Yeah, they really can make even the best people seem like the worst. It's just one of those things that you're like, why are you doing this? Because we can.
Yeah, I know, but it's so foreign to everything, As a man, right, you stick up for things that are weaker than you. You protect, you try to be just, you try to do things the right way. So when you've got people then, are taking your tax money and they're actually called professionals, but what are they actually professionals at? They're professional bullshit artists, child bloody abuse enablers, kidnappers themselves. I don't know, it's hard to give people like that any kind of respect at all,
Yeah, it honestly is. Like one of the complaints that I put into social services were a simple case of the social worker hasn't spoken to me. Yeah, I wanted to get a picture of my daughter. Look, the social worker hasn't even responded to me. Why not? I was like, am I being ignored? And that's what I said. And I got a phone call back saying, no, you're not being ignored. She just haven't managed to contact you yet. It's just like, it's been a week.
This is the thing, see, they've got all the staff to do their nefarious thing, and they haven't got enough staff then to try and, when a child's been taken, to try and keep that bond with the original parents on some level. The fact you haven't got a photograph of your own daughter is absolutely insane. That's disgraceful, to be honest with you.
I mean, I've got the photo now, but like I had to put a complaint in to get it.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, see.
Which is ridiculous when you think about it, because why should I put a complaint in to make her do a job?
Yeah, you should just say, look, you'd think that'd be a pack, wouldn't you? When a child is taken into care, you'd think that a pack would be produced for a parent with like school reports in there, possibly, not saying the name of the school, but some photographs in there, maybe once a year, just a little pack, just to say, look, here's your child, she is doing well, you haven't got to worry so much about her, and I don't know about you, bro, but when my children are 16, I already know that my children my boy wants to come home. He says every time he sees me, he wants to come home. So when he's 16, this will be his home. Yeah. And I have some kind of contact with my children. That's why I can keep that bond. But to have that completely torn away and stripped away like that, you'd think you'd have to be a monster who've committed some crimes, And I can tell from talking to you, bro, that you're quite an eloquent, well-spoken, intelligent man. And that is the problem. Not any kind of underhanded, hidden dark side or, other things like that.
Well, I can have a dark side.
Yeah, but your heart's in the right place. You're on all these sites. You're supporting people. You don't even see. I'm still about me and my situation, but you, even though you've been through all yours, you are more about other people and their situations. Yeah, which takes a lot of strength, really. It's hard enough to fight for yourself, but to fight for other people,
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is my fight is now quite literally over. It's a horrible thing to think about, but that's what I think. My fight is literally over. Let's try and help this person.
Right. Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's nowhere else that I can turn. So let's try and make sure this person's okay.
Yes, and from your own experiences as well, I know what mistakes I've made. And, you can tell somebody, don't do this, don't do that, because even though you might think it might help your situation in the long run, it doesn't. It's just that gives them something else to use against you.
Yeah, it does. And they will quite literally use anything they can against you.
Well, even when you behave, well, talking about me again, but about a month before they took my son, I was reading in the documents from Children's Services, because we were about to go for a court case. Mr. Thomas has spat at the social worker. So they said that I spat at the social worker, yeah? Interesting. No police report ever given. I didn't spit it. Nobody ever spat. Nobody's disgusting. No police report given. It actually happened in 2020, so during the COVID pandemic. Yeah.
Oh, fun. So there would have been a police report.
Yeah, you would have thought so, yeah. So I've tried to get the logs from Children's Services to say there must be some kind of report about me spitting at somebody, because that's a disgusting thing to do. It's an assault, and it's during COVID. They have no report of it, but yet they write it to a family court judge that I have spat at a social worker. And he's obviously thinking, then, you're a violent, disgraceful, disgusting man who spits at what I assume. See, I don't even know if it's a man or a woman. I'm assuming that they're saying I spat at a woman because I was only dealing with women at that time.
Yeah.
So even when you behave, bro, for like a year, I didn't speak up. I didn't do anything. When they realized I'd got all the counseling and I'd got the other stuff that they asked me to get, and there was a possibility the judge could listen to me, they then said that I spat at one of their workers.
I see. So they pretty much flogged you off.
Sabotaged the good work, which they do with a lot of parents. You know, they put a list of things in front of a parent. Do this, do this, do this, and do this. And once you've done all the things and be happy with it, you can have your child back. So when this parent then is like, oh, I'm going to do this for my child, I've got to get my child back, and they're doing it all 100%, yeah, and the socials are looking at it and thinking they're doing so well, they're going to get their child back if we go to court at the way it is now and show what they've done. So we've got to add something to their file which is negative to counteract all our good work to make sure that the child stays in the same position that we've put the child in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in my case it was the whole mental health thing, because it wasn't until like the second to last hearing, like no one had ever mentioned autism or anything like that, and then suddenly I get diagnosed with autism, and then my actual doctor says that's not right.
Well, there we go. That's your own doctor, yeah. And autism is on different levels, I understand. But you're in your 30s. You've never had any inkling that you might have been autistic, or anybody's ever said that to you before. And some unqualified person comes along and says you might be autistic.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's like me going up. That's like me going to the Formula One garage and saying to the Formula One mechanic, "Oh, you've done that wrong."
Yeah. How would you know?
Yeah, exactly that. I wouldn't know because I wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about because I'm not a professional or experienced in that kind of area to a level
Like
where I would be allowed to give
that
them.
is definitely the one thing that annoys me. It's just like a court-appointed psychologist with no actual qualification. I mean, I did the autism test on her laptop on the internet.
Okay.
So it's just like, if you can get on that site, I can pretty guarantee you I can.
Yeah. So it came back then. You're not autistic at all. Like, oh.
Well, I mean, my doctor and whatnot says I'm not autistic, but like, of course, the courts never took any paperwork from me.
Yeah. And even when you say, "Can I bring my doctor's notes in there?" they suddenly don't turn up in there either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because they don't want them in there. Because they
Like I
defend.
said to my solicitor, I said my doctors completely disagree with the fact that I'm autistic. And I said I'll be quite happy to get them to put a statement in my file. And they went, oh, okay, cool. And that was the last they mentioned it.
And anyway, as you say, some people got autism. It's on different levels. Some people go, maybe low on the spectrum. They function normally in life. There's no problem at all. They wouldn't even be worth mentioning somebody low on the spectrum. If somebody's high on the spectrum, okay, it could affect them a bit more. But you've got to determine where somebody is on the spectrum. Well, first of all, you've got to determine that they have got autism, which they didn't do. Then where they are on the spectrum, and then how that condition could affect their caring for their child.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing that never seems to get mentioned. It's like, can this person care for a child? Because I know people that are quite literally mentally disabled and they have children.
Yes, I know. This is the thing, see, that there's no, you can compare this family to that family, and it's like, well, wait a minute. I thought it was the rules the same across the board, but you're treating this person different to this person in a very glaring way,
Yeah.
What's so different? If you're not a violent person, right, you're not a perverted person, you keep your child warm, clean, and engaged, and you can see that your child is bubbly and not withdrawn. You can see that there's no major problem there.
Yeah, that's exactly what we had, but like obviously not according to social services, there were problems.
Yeah, we all know why. Yeah, we could go around in circles all night just saying, they did this and they did that. It's what they do.
Yeah, it is quite literally what they do, and like that's literally the only reason why I started Ripped Apart on YouTube, because I wanted people to understand that they do that to a lot of people. You're not alone.
Yeah. How soon after then you lost your daughter did you start the channel and?
Yeah, it was a matter of weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've done it out of like anger, frustration. I'm going to do this channel and I'm going to expose the system as it is in the beginning. And then obviously you got it wrapped up in the people's stories and personal lives. And, obviously you wanted to
Well,
do
in the
something.
beginning, it wasn't so much I was doing it out of anger. I'm going to expose the system, anything like that. In the beginning, it was more pretty much where it is now. It's just like I've been through this. I don't want someone else to go through this and feel like they have to be quiet about it.
Yeah. See, it took me after they took my son, it took me a long time to recover mentally to a point where I thought I could eloquently even explain something. It smashed me to pieces. It was like when I lost my mother, I was going around on autopilot because I'd had my son from birth till he was 7, and then I didn't know what to do with myself at all.
Yeah, it breaks people to bits. It's just like, how can you possibly think you're saving a family by destroying it?
Yeah. Yeah. So your channel, I never got more lined up to go on content to go on the channel. And
I mean, the form is always up. I'm always looking for replies, things like that. I try and get a video up like once or once, maybe twice in a month.
yeah,
It's not going to be a fast process because I'm not about to say to someone, "Oh, make sure you get social service involved. Give me a freaking story."
yeah. Like some people, yeah, I've noticed when I put ads on there, some people were saying to me like, "Oh, you were just exploiting these people that have been abused, and now you're taking advantage of them." And I was like, "Well, I'm not really. People are coming on you. I'm telling them exactly, what the risks are, exactly, they know exactly what it is. It's not as if I'm pulling a wool over anybody's eyes and saying, and I'm not going to make any money out of this. I don't intend to make any money out of this. And if the channel
Yeah.
ever built to a place where some money was being earned, that would be plowed back in maybe to, like, some people I've already talked to for some counseling or, for something like that. I couldn't spend that money on, I don't know, something for myself, for example. And it's not about money anyway. And it's not about
Yeah,
exploiting
absolutely.
any.
I mean, something that
I
I want
love.
to do is I want to make a sort of GoFundMe sort of thing for people who are like in different countries to get to their families. I mean, I want to try and make something like that. So if my channel ever gets to a point where I can make money, then I want to shovel it into a fund so people can actually get to their families.
Yeah, see, and that's noble cause, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
Yes.
is. I mean, I don't care about the money. Yeah, I could do with a lot of it. We all
Yeah,
could. But
yeah,
like in this channel's case, I don't. It's not for me. It's for them.
yeah, totally. And people need to understand that when people do start channels like this, you're putting your own head on a chopping block, really, because you could say something wrong there, which could get you in trouble. You're not exploiting anybody. The stories are what's important, and education of the public is what's important.
Yeah, it really is. Like again, that's one of the reasons why I keep everything anonymous. I mean, it could literally be about anyone. Unless it's your story, you won't know.
Yeah, it's good. This all well put together. I was really impressed. Uh, yeah, so much better than my own. Obviously, my editing isn't great. I'm just starting off, and yeah, so I will be bending your ear for some advice, some pointers, obviously, because yeah, you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I had
So
to get some advice myself, but yeah, I've got a vague idea. I mean, I've been on YouTube for about 10 years, so yeah.
there we go. I didn't even know YouTube was on there for 10 years. That's my level of understanding on it. But where do you see yourself now? Then, where do you see yourself in a year's time?
Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I'm looking into a self-employment thing with one of my mates, so hopefully that goes somewhere. But like, I reckon in a year's time, I'll still be doing things like this because
Yeah.
it's not about me.
Yeah, once they get under your skin, the way I say to them, it's on for life. I don't care if they return my children tomorrow. I still know what they've done, and I know they're doing this to others.
Yeah, totally. Like, if I was to get my child back tomorrow, then on Friday, I'll probably record another ripped apart.
Yes, because once you're scarred by these people, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Once you ask God, I mean, it is literally there for life.
yeah. Well, there are people homeless, people that have committed suicide, over abuses of their children by the state, and it just all gets covered up. And if somebody does, go over the edge and they get angry and they get violent, then and maybe they do lash out at a social worker or a police officer, There'll never be any of the mitigating circumstances of why this person has actually done that. It'll just be, look at this absolute scumbag who's, you know, assaulted a social worker or a police officer. You know, it'll never be the backstory of, you know, maybe this police officer lied and put this child in, you know, this position, and then this child got hurt or around a paedophile or something. It'll never be a backstory. It'll just be the member of the public is the bad guy, and the social worker or the police officer is the good guy, and it can't be any other way.
It's like the member of the public is a bad guy. This person's the victim. This person's fixed it.
Yeah, they do. They gaslight. They victim blame. They're like the worst partner you could ever imagine entering a relationship with. Is the police and children's services. Yeah, because they use all them tactics.
But I'm still guaranteeing that, like, from day one, they know what they're going to do. Like, I'm still guaranteeing that in my mind. It's just like they do.
I do. I'm like same as you. I'm 100% sure that they do. They target. They target.
Like they came into my house, and like the first thing that popped into their mind was, "We're going to remove this child."
Yeah, I thought they'd seen a green light. I think they got lists. I think they got this child we can definitely remove. This child is close to the edge of being removed, so we can push that. This child is nothing majorly wrong, but we can actually push it that way, and we'll leave this group for there. Yeah, so I think they'd actually push in these things into worse categories. So they automatically know, oh, we got these 10 children we can take. Then, oh, we don't really, these children, other 10 children, we are not really in danger, but we need to take them for the profit and to keep the figures up and the bonuses.
Yeah, or as they say, it's for the best of the child.
Yeah, but obviously, if you're taking all the children, which, well, not all the children, because we know some are in the community, it's still in danger. But if you take the children you know are in serious need, and then next year, then you've got to take the same amount of children to balance the books. Even though there's not many children in need, you will end up inventing children that are in need to take them just to balance the books for the bottom line profit.
Yep, which is disgusting, because something that I've said a few times, if a parent did that, then we'd be ostracized by everybody that knows us.
Yes, totally. We'd be outcast in society. You know, somebody would be willing to do that. You know, it's like, but it's, as you said, though, a lot of people know these people are liars. A lot of people know what they're capable of. They're completely terrified of letting these people through the door. Yeah. And these social workers know that they're hated, and they just carry on anyway. So what type of character, you know, are some of these social workers? Because if someone is a decent social worker and wants to do things the right way, I don't think they last 5 seconds within children's services.
Honestly, they don't. I mean, some of the lives that I've been in on TikTok and things like that, there's been ex-social workers there, and like a lot of them say, I'm an ex-social worker. Like, it's like, oh God, here we go. But all their stories are like, I didn't agree with this, so I left, and now I've been shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, there are quite a lot of people. You know, I'd love to have like an ex-social worker on to, you know, somebody who's actually been there for 10 years and actually was told to manipulate documents and actually to expose some people. It's obviously is a big risk for somebody to take. Or an ex-police officer that was told to lie on a report about the child for reasons only known to themselves. I'd love to get these people on and really get into the nuts and bolts of this, because the problems are, like you say, a bad apple spoils the cart. Yeah. But there are so many bad apples high up the chain that they are employing people like them. They are putting pressure on the people to change reports. The ones that won't change the reports, they're getting rid of them.
Absolutely. Just like one bad apple does spoil the cart, but like if it's still in the tree, it spoils the tree.
Yes. And then when they encourage more bad apples because that's the type of apples that they like. You've got all bad apples, not just a few that spoil the cart, you know. Maybe you've got like 50% bad apples and 50% good. Is there anything else that you want to say, or anything you think is important? I'll edit it properly.
I mean, obviously I've got a head full of things that I want to say, but like I know I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. Like a lot of the TikTok lives that I'm part of and whatnot, like I'm not a moderator on many of them, but like a lot of the ones that I do jump into quite a bit, some of the stories are the same, and like something that I do actually want to mention is there's a thing called FDAC, FDAC, and it's an alternative to family court.
Okay.
And not many local authorities actually have it. There's only a few, and it does have to be recommended by a social worker. But like, it's the family drug and alcohol court. So if someone is under the influence, or not under the influence, like if someone is addicted to heroin or something like that, then they can say, "I'd like to be referred to FDAC or FDAC, whatever it's called."
And they could actually get in the support that they would need.
Yeah, like it's sort of one-to-one with the judge as well. They can sit down with the judge themselves.
Right. Okay. I never heard of that
So
before.
like that is one of those things that like I've been sort of looking into trying to get out there and things like I say, it's not everywhere, which is for a lot of people really sad because
You'd think that it'd be, if we got the same system, it'd be in all every court, any family court and council, if it's available in
yeah,
one.
you would definitely think so, but
Yeah.
it's not, which is really horrible because it's not in my local authority, but it is about 30 miles up the road. Going back to that FDAC, like the Family Drug and Alcohol Court, like everyone that has been on it, like has reported there's been decent outcome. Like
Okay.
people that have been on the Family Drug and Alcohol Court, like they've managed to about 47% of cases have had their children returned
Really?
and things like that. But like if, for example, someone has an addiction to alcohol and they have social services involved and like FDAC is offered. It's got to be recommended by a social worker as well.
Okay.
FDAC is offered, then like they have the opportunity to actually get their children back, regardless of the fact whether they're an alcoholic or not.
Right. Okay. I'll have to look into that. I've never heard of that. I don't know if it's in my local community or in local authority, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the really annoying part is a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Yeah. I never
One
heard
of
of
the
it.
lives that I was in on TikTok, someone says, "Has anyone heard of this?" and put FDAC in the comments, and like everyone was just like, "No." Literally everyone was like, "No, no, what's that? No." But look it up on Google, like I did, and I was just like, "Oh,
Yeah. See, that's another. When you Google some of this information, you type in social services corruption or whatever. You can't really find, or I can't anyway, find ways to, documents to fill in, ways to attack them. Like people have said things like C2 applications and things. That stuff
mm."
isn't really packaged very well on the internet in ways that people can understand it, I think. What do you think?
Well, in terms of a sort of going after local authorities, the only thing that I've really looked into is Freedom of Information Act, trying to find out what they've done, why they've done it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people putting in a lot of freedom of information requests lately about abuse in care, how many children being taken
Oh,
into
there is.
care. Yeah, there's some really shocking figures coming out of some of these local authorities at the moment.
Yeah, and some local authorities refuse to answer, which is a little bit suspicious.
Of course, because if it was nothing to see here, why would you not give the figure?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there we go. They answer their own question. But what that leaves in, when they don't give figures, you're thinking, oh, that must be so much worse than the worst one I've seen then. So they're making it worse for themselves. Because I'm
They
then
really
thinking,
are.
okay, these 90% of children have been abused in care in this local authority. This local authority is not even going to give us figures. So this must be, is it worse than that one? Because that one's willing to give it, but this one is not. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Mildly annoying.
Mildly annoying. Yeah, that's a polite way to put it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be polite.
Yeah. What I want to say to you, Mark, as well, I've been thinking, I've got an American lady, I got a couple of other people, professionals, be thinking about doing like a round table discussion. Obviously, it won't be on a table, it'll be on Zoom, so we'll be in little windows. Would
Yeah.
you be interested in participating in a discussion?
Well, I suppose I would. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say no. It's not like I
Brilliant.
have a job to go to.
Well, you know exactly what you're doing. Your art's in it. That's what we want. You've got valuable information. Yeah, you've got a lot of contacts as well. Yeah, I think you'd be valuable. And yeah, if we put your head together, obviously we got a couple of ladies, couple of men. We can have both sides of what's happened from their own points of views. Maybe put together some kind of information pack where we can, well, advise is the wrong word, but how to deal with children's services from the point that they turn up to the games and tactics they might play.
Like, I'm actually thinking about starting an actual website as well. I'm not too sure what the name's going to be, but like on there, I want to have things like, help and advice.
Yeah. Because when these people first turn up, some people like me, I used to think, oh, these people are here, they're on my side. I'm just going to tell them the truth. Everything is going to be fine.
Yeah.
How naive and stupid I was, And I'd heard people in my life previously saying, how evil these local authorities and these children's services departments are, because I had no experience in it myself. I wish I'd stumbled across something when I first got involved with children's services to say, don't say this, don't say this, don't say that, even if it's innocent and it's, they'll twist it. You're better off, like in a police station, remain silent.
Yeah, totally. Like, something I've been told like numerous times is they are not there to help you.
Yeah. And the word service kind of implies that they are there to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very confusing. Well, yeah, do you want to leave it there, Mark? It's been a good chat. I'm sure we can get you back on in a couple of months anyway, just to update us on your channel, anything else you're doing with your life. And I was thinking of putting together an episode with 15 minutes with a certain person, 15 minutes with somebody else, and maybe putting together like an hour and a half bit just with updates on everybody that we've interviewed so far. So if you want to come back
absolutely.
to that as well.
I like the sound of that as well.
Yeah, as well as the round table, yeah. Because, it's all about making people, like you said, feel that they're not alone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I really want to get out there. People are not alone.
Yeah, totally. And when people
your
are
voice
first,
will be heard.
When people are first in it, as you feel like you're all alone and it's hopeless. And and you feel there's nowhere to turn, And some people then think, do I really want to be here anymore? And that's when you start thinking really dark thoughts, and some good people do stupid things. And
yeah, some really good people do stupid things as well. And like the world loses out on that good person. So
yeah, well, we'll leave it with that. Nobody's alone. There are many good people fighting in everybody's corner. We slowly building an army of people, which is going to turn the tide on these people.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what we all want.
Yeah, and I hope some of these people are looking through bars quite soon. And I just want to look them in the eyes and say, I won't rest until some of you are actually looking through bars for abusing children right under my nose. So, yeah, I think we leave it anyway. Thank you for coming on, Mark. Total pleasure.
No worries.
Total gentleman. Yeah, and I'll obviously keep in touch. And thank you.
Yeah, gentlemen. Definitely. Thank you.
I'll see you soon. Bye, Mark.
You shall. Bye-bye.